It is a very special NWA spotlight today. Well, yes, it is my birthday as well. Fiona isn't here on my birthday. Fee, we're going to have words when we do the power review this week. However, somebody that is with us this week, and it's the one that we've been looking forward to the most. You recall when we do NWA spotlights, when we do Talking Territories, those of you that watched will know there is one name on everybody's lips when we say to them, who do you talk to, like especially with the territories? Who do you talk to when you go to NWA? Who do you get advice from? And they all say the one man. It is the manager of champions, the manager of the NWA World Tag Team Champions, Blunt Force Trauma. It's Mr. Aron Stevens. How are you?
I'm very good. How are you?
It's all
happy
good.
birthday.
Thank you. Yeah, they say life begins at 40. I'm not sure, so we'll
find out.
I don't know. Yeah, we'll find out. Well, considering at 39, I nearly died. I suppose it did. I suppose it does, right? Well,
hey, you know what? The self-fulfilling prophecy or a self-fulfilling cliche or saying or whatever it is, right?
That is indeed. But thank you so much for joining us today. And it's wonderful to speak to you and get some knowledge and insight about NWA with you. For those of you that don't watch NWA, it's on the CW app in America. For the good old folks over here in UK and internationally, get yourselves a VPN and get on the CW app and watch it every week, because you are actually missing out on some really fun stuff, Aaron, that I want to just talk about. One of the things that I've noticed with the NWA, and forgive me, Fiona was the one that got me back into NWA a couple of years ago now when we started the podcast. But I've noticed that what I enjoy about it first is, and I think even BFT have even done it themselves, sometimes that the finishing moves of matches are what you would have sort of seen back in the days of like Mr. Wonderful, Paul Orndorff, or Kurt Hennig. I think that BFT won it with a drop kick a couple of seasons ago. And it's very rare now that you see those sort of things happening.
Yes, and that's kind of, it is a risk, on our part as a company, but it's also, I believe, a good risk if done correctly. And so much, in the media today, right, all over the world, it's they want everything either like black or white, or like, this is the way the wrestling business is, and this, and there's so many shades of gray, right? Or as Dr. Tom Pritchard would say, there's a lot of flavors of ice cream. And what we're doing is we are, trying to take, like, let's say one of the basic flavors of ice cream. Just if we do vanilla ice cream, we do chocolate ice cream, or if it's cookies and cream, right?
Yeah.
Cookies and cream got two ingredients, cookies and ice cream, right?
Yeah.
Well, let's use that as an example. Cookies and cream at a gas station, in one of those little, like, or a petrol station, as you say, over in the wonderful, wonderful continent of Europe.
Yes.
It is not the same as a cookies and cream ice cream that you would get at a gourmet restaurant, or even, let's say, Haagen-Dazs. And what makes the difference are the ingredients, the quality of the ingredients, how they're put together, how they're blended, et cetera, et cetera. I don't know. I'm not an ice cream guy, or at least I don't manufacture ice cream. But what the NWA does, we aim to take some of the stuff that has worked before. And it's funny, you use a dropkick as a finish, and you're right about that. Here's the difference. This man is about 6'8", 285 pounds, and he can jump higher than the cruiserweights. And again, like okay, on TV, people initially, the reaction will be like, "Ooh," but what's funny is, after that's been kind of, again, presented correctly, takes on a different light. I mean, Stan Hansen and the lariat. Yeah. How many lariats or clotheslines have we seen? You know what I mean? And why was Stan's different? So you have to do it right. You have to do it correctly. And it's so funny. Like, I actually tweeted something about, it was like what Matt Hardy said, it would be nice if, and there was a particular company, like it was AEW, focusing a little more on storylines and creating moments as opposed to like 5-star matches. Now, the 5-star match is like, okay, it's like, on one end, it's you're placating to Meltzer, who apparently like is the man that hands the stars out. And look, it's fine, but all right. I can see things through his point of view, right? Where, okay, that's what he loves about wrestling. So, okay, write about it, do it, and all that. But the sad thing is, wrestling, it has always, first and foremost, appealed to the human condition. It has appealed to our sense of emotion. That's what truly draws people in. And again, we're NWA. If you look at our attendance, we're drawing close to we draw over 3,000 at our last television taping. So excuse me, Sarasota, Florida, we did close to 3,000. We were just, I think, like around 200 under. Dothan, Alabama. People are starting to kind of catch on now, and it took a while, especially pre-pandemic. In my opinion, we were the best television show in wrestling at the time. It was an hour, easy to follow. You knew the character. It was great. And again, coming out of the pandemic, where things were getting shifted around, there was talent had made moves, and there were so many different circumstances. We just forged through, and again, a large majority of our fans stayed with us. And it's funny because it's the few people on social media. And again, social media it's a big part of our business, and it's a good thing. And I think, again, like, everyone has a right to an opinion, but it was interesting because when I tweeted that thing about Matt Hardy and I just agreed with it, a bunch of people started at me. Like, I was like, whoa, I just said I agree with something. And so you have this very polarizing notion of like, oh, what a 5-star match is. And, I forgive me, I'm not exactly because I don't really pay attention to that much, but I think it was a couple months ago, Meltzer said Hogan and Rock was not a 5-star match.
Yeah.
If you look at that match and you can say that is the closest thing to perfect you got since Hogan Andre or Rock Austin, maybe, or then you know what? I don't know what to tell you.
Yeah.
I mean, look at the crowd's reaction. Look at the and you know what? If you're not on board with that, if you're judging matches based on athletic performance, hey, that's okay. But the thing is, people, oh well, the story and the this and the that, and then and I'm talking about the internet fans and even people like Meltzer to a degree, where do you really even know what it means when someone says tell a story? Can you define what a story is in a match? And that's interesting. When you call people out like that, 9 times out of 10 they can't. And the interesting thing with me, I've been very, very fortunate. I've studied under a lot of very smart people, from Kowalski's to Jim Cornette, Paul Heyman, Rip Rogers was influential. I got to work for Carlos Colon, which learned a lot down there as well. Steve Kern has helped me. I wouldn't have a career if it wasn't for Dr. Tom. So I've been very, very fortunate. Dusty Rhodes, he's another one. I wouldn't be where I am. And again, it's you take the knowledge, you apply it, and then you go from there. And I've never been one for politicking. To where when people ask me, oh, what happened with you in WWE? And look, I was just never the guy to kind of go knock on the boss's door every week. What do I have to do? And almost kowtow to anybody. I mean, I obviously you treat the people with respect, but if they couldn't see the responses I was getting, and that's why again, when I say this, if a fan on Twitter and I try not to engage them, but it was just very interesting this one time where I don't think I've ever gotten that much and I don't want to say hate, but yeah, it was hate to a degree, but it was only about I'd say less than half of the people that responded, and they were all very one-sided, right? And they oh, your career wasn't anything, and this and that and the other thing, and I'm like, well, here's the deal. If you look at my career and you look at the responses I was getting, yeah, that was a top guy response. The only thing, I was scheduled to be world champion, and okay, someone said no, right? Okay, move on. So what did I do? I evolved my character and I came up with something, and I became, the stunt double with the Miz, right? And I didn't get any direction from that. So I've always kind of had this weird propensity to just like sifter and cut through all of the hoopla, if you will, right? And my thing is, I've always done this for the fans. And that sounds cliche, and I don't mean like, oh, I love all the fans. I mean, even though I do, or most of them, but when I perform, right? When someone pays me to perform, like it is every single ounce of everything I have, whether I'm doing a promo, wrestle, whatever I'm doing, the fans, and then, you know, of course, by right, the bosses, the people signing my paycheck, they know, I mean, they may not know what they're going to get. And sometimes I don't know what they're going to get until I'm out there, which is, you know, again, thank you, NWA. But like, they're going to get everything I have. Yeah. Like when I come back, I am going to be like, I'm going to need to calm down. Right. And there's a certain like emotional exhaustion that follows, and I go through this rhythm, but it's like, that's what I do. And I've always had that direct kind of, I don't want to say link to the fans, but again, it's just that's why we're doing it. And let's keep that in mind, you know, and the layers to it, which, okay. And then people, here's another thing, and not to get too in depth, but it's like, oh, do we wrestle for the crowd or do we wrestle for TV? No, it's like when people say that, I want to call them idiots, because guess what? Pros do both. And what we're trying to do, there is a void, and I'm not sure how it is over there, but on the independent scene, and several people I see today on television, where they do not understand how to be television wrestlers, right? Like we grew up in an age of Instagram, where it's kind of like it's very short attention span. And again, we all have to dictate our performance to that, right? As society changes, but again, we have not evolved past, you know, the human condition to where for some reason as a species, we love stories. We love drama. We love the whole, you know, we're perplexed in it, right? And now you had the drama being played out in the ring in the 90s or up until, you know, the 90s, 2000s. And then recently, you know, we have extended the playing field to social media, right? Great. Awesome. But you know what? Let's still keep this what it should be. And look, athletically, there's never been a time where we have more talented performers across the board. Yeah. It's fact, right? I mean, whatever it is, and it's incredible. So it's like at NWA, right? We're not like, oh no, you can't do any of your stuff. No, like we encourage everyone to be themselves, do what they do, and it's just a matter of presenting it in a way that is conducive to the audience, right? Like it's, if you want to be a wrestler on TV, join the Olympics and hope for the best, right? Yeah. We are television stars who wrestle. There's a very, very big difference. And even the best wrestlers, you know, you have your purists like your Chris Benoit's, you know, even Daniel Bryan's, right? They have stayed true to themselves, but they have also catered to the television audience. And that's how you do it. Because look, the fans in the arena are the same people watching on TV. If that arena is hot and you know, the roof's about to blow off, yeah, guess what? They're probably watching at home. So it's a matter of, you know, again, we know your camera operators, understand the logistics of the building you're in and where the crowd is, and then adjust your performance accordingly.
Exactly that. And one of
the things, long-winded question, and I don't even know if like this is that kind of a podcast. So
no, it's absolutely fine. I'm happy.
I didn't know if you wanted me to gimmick, like, you know, spitting out rhyme or something like that.
Well, you can do that near the end. We'll give you a bit of time just because obviously we know there's a big match coming on Tuesday on Power for Blunt Force Trauma. Before we get there, one of the divisions, and we wax Liverpool quite a bit on NWA, and we'll talk about the roster in a minute, but there's a particular, the women's division in NWA, I would rival up with any division in wrestling right now. You have got people there. And I called Kenzie a ring general the other day just because of the way she conducts herself. And, you know, from the moment she walks out, that she's in the character, but when the bell goes off, she is probably bell to bell, one of the best women's wrestlers out there right now. And that women's division, Aaron, for me, as I just said, you could put up there with anybody, any division in wrestling right now. With women itself there, and you've got credit people like Jazz that work there, and you all work there. But do you see their growth from like a couple of years ago, from when they were coming to now, and just think that is just a testament to A, them, but B, the NWA and what they do for them?
Yeah, I mean, again, like, you know, we're the NWA sets the stage. Um, you know, Billy Corgan,
Yeah.
he provides the stage, he provides the direction, but the major factor, in my opinion, in the women's division has been Jazz.
Yes.
I cannot say enough good things about Jazz. Like she is just one of those people. Like she deserves so much more credit than she gets, and that goes for in the ring and out of the ring, and as a human being. Like in both her and Rodney, you know,
Mm.
I've been privileged to work closely with Rodney, and it's just it has been a blessing to me. And again, just anytime you know you see Rodney and Jazz, it's gonna be a good day, you know. Like it's one of those things where like, okay, whatever bumps we got in the road, all right, we're hitting them together. Let's do it. You know what I mean? And
Yeah.
that's and it goes beyond Rodney and Jazz, but like it's the team kind of spirit, and we all have our department. It seems like in NWA particularly, right? And there's this group of you know people that we've been doing this a little bit longer, and we've kind of just like fallen into these roles. And in the women's division, I would credit that just heavily to Jazz's involvement in it, as well as the girls who take the advice, who apply, who want
Mm.
this, who are hungry. And the greatest thing about NWA and about our women's division is we don't shove it down people's throats. We simply give the women equal staging, is like same platform, and we let them speak for themselves. And that's all, you know what I mean? Because guess what? We believe in the women that much that, you know, I used to say, like, all I need is a stage and an audience and I'll be fine.
Yeah.
Right. Same thing like that. That's the women's division. Like you just put them out there in the state that they're in with the people that are kind of in place to help it run. And I agree with you 100%. I would stack our women's division up against anyone's.
Yeah, I absolutely agree. I loved it. I mean, this past week on Power, we had the women's tag match for the #1 contenders for the King Bees, and that was probably the best match of the show. I think that last week just gone. But I want to talk about the roster because, again, I said this I think to Carl Davis when he was on. The roster for me, I think, is probably the most diverse roster in terms of characters out there as well. And that's the other important thing about wrestling. Sometimes you can have, as you say, you can have these 5-star matches, you can have the great stories, but you need the characters. And NWA, you go from like a purist, you've got like Colby Carino, the guys that can do that sort of stuff. And then you've got the big ones like Wrecking Ball, Gursky, and people like that. But on the other side of that, you flip that, and then you've got like a Max the Impaler, or the Yarbo and Ruffo the Clowns. And it's just a big diverse. And I think the roster is probably the most diverse in wrestling.
I agree with that. And, you know, it's definitely by choice to where since day one of the first power tapings in 2019, it's like a bunch of us, like we looked around the locker room and like, we are the island of misfit toys. And it's still kind of that, but it's funny because like the misfit toys are now really kind of getting dialed in and getting locked in. And you know, I know, and again, I'm not a spokesperson for the NWA, please, but I can tell you the vibe. It is by far the when people say family in wrestling, it's used way too much, right? And it's used as corporate jargon, and you know, oh, you're part of the family. And no, I mean, like, look, we we've seen the events of this past year come out, and we see, you know, that I'll leave that statement out there, and you know, the truth shall set us all free. But NWA, it truly, and I don't want to say it's like it's the interdependence on a lot, but it is. You know, it's the people that write the music, the people that do the wardrobe, it's our referees, it's the people that set up the ring, and it's the people that go when someone needs energy drinks and duct tape that go to the store. It like we all help each other, and nobody is really kind of looked down upon, at least to my knowledge, and like everyone is treated like a human being.
Yeah.
You know, and again, no, we have fun. We like everyone is smiling. I think across the board, the majority of the people that you'll talk to that have been in our locker room are like, yeah, you guys are pretty chill because we just want to have a good show.
Yeah.
You
Yeah,
know, we
exactly.
just want to have a good show.
Yeah, exactly that. Well, you do from what we see for sure. You mentioned you just sort of mentioned clothing there, and I have to bring up a question from Fiona because she has written a couple of questions for you as she
Oh,
can't be here today. First thing, because we talk about clothing, she's asked, where did you get that blue jacket from?
very, very happy you asked. Calabretta Suits. I'm following on Instagram. It's like at Calabretta. I think Calabretta 1979, or I may be messing the number up, but Dominic Calabretta was the guy that constructed the suit. Going to be constructed another one soon. I highly suggest you follow them. Just tell them I sent it. They do incredible work. They actually, because it's a whole family company, they're up in Toronto. They did a lot of the wardrobe for the show Suits.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, so they're I mean top notch. When I first met Dom, because we had a mutual friend introduce us, and I go to the tailor shop, and like he comes walking through the curtain. He's this Italian guy, and it's like I just saw him, and like I just knew. I was like, okay, like there was just that vibe about him. Like he had these really cool looking glasses on, and like measuring tape. Like, all right, come here, and like, all right, this guy's done this before, kind of deal.
Yeah. That the other question that she's asking, it's nice because we're going to move on to the Crockett Cup now. But she said, it's a real possibility that in just a few short weeks, when the Crockett Cup's finished, that BFT could soon hold the NWA World Tag Team Champions, and they could be the Crockett Cup winners. And she said, if that is the case, what is next?
Look, when you reach the pinnacle of anything in life, right? And in this case, this is the pinnacle of tag team wrestling right now. Number one, you got to stay there, right? When we win the Crockett Cup, there's going to be a lot of eyes on the target, right? When we win the Crockett Cup, there's going to be people looking to take what we have from all angles. And the thing is, we are just going to rise above the pinnacle of the industry, and we're going to take it to a whole nother level. It's you're going to see a newer version of BFT. You're going to see, I think, far more endorsements coming our way. Obviously, the paychecks will continue to increase. We're going to hold more bargaining chips for the NWA, and I would like to see us be the first unit. You know, me, of course, being the manager, to be able to call our own shots in terms of because of our accomplishments, we should be able to pick every single challenger. We should have the right to refuse by any grounds any challenger that we do not deem worthy of that. So I think you're going to see us breaking through more towards the executive side, and really you're going to see management not only happen around the ring, but let's say more in the boardroom too.
Interesting. We'll have to wait and see in a few weeks if that's the case. But moving a bit further down the line, there's going to be a really historic NWA 76. Obviously, it's historic for two reasons. One, NWA 76, and two, the arena it's going to, the old ECW arena. How much importance is that? Because I mean, some of the arenas, the one you went to Samhain last year was brilliant. Love that sort of set in. I mean, it was like, was it theater?
Yep, and that's the thing. I mean, from the people that get our buildings, that like they're reaching out, hustling with the buildings, to our set designers. Like, you can tell you're working with artists, I think.
Yeah, they were brilliant. And going back to NWA 76, how much is the prestige going to be going into that arena with that? Because obviously NWA, I always say it's the prestige, it's the lineage and everything that's come with it. The NWA 76 and going back to the arena in Philadelphia just seems such a great fit.
It does, and people are they're interested to see how Philly's going to receive us. But personally, I've had some really cool moments of my career happened in Philly.
Mhm.
And when you give Philly everything you have, like I said before, right? And that's the advice I'm telling a lot of the talent. They will give you everything you have, including their respect. If you half-ass it, no, it's like the Garden.
Yeah.
You could be in Long Island one night, you could be in Brooklyn the next night. When you go to the Garden, it's a different feel. Same thing with Philly. Philly has a reputation of being one of the most hostile crowds ever, which of course I welcome.
Yeah.
But no, you just got to give them everything you have, and that's what we're going to do. We have had stumbling blocks as a company. We've had people kind of, shun us and cast us aside, and work against us and try to hurt us. But you know what? We're still here. We've been here. We're celebrating being here 76 years, right? I mean, the NWA title, almost 30 years to the day, was thrown down in that building. And this is more of a statement like, guess what? The person that threw that title down now, okay, like, where's that title? Defunct. We're still here.
Exactly.
We're still here. And I mean, the WCW title, when the NWA title kind of merged with it, WCW title, defunct. We're still here. If you look at the WWE, not to, for the history buffs, but if you the lineage of the WWE title, that was made when the split with the NWA happened. It's an offshoot. Whatever, anyone's kind of like take on anything is, you cannot deny the history and the lineage of that title that for some reason will not die, and has always, when it's like you have all but one finger in the grave, has managed to get itself out and then rise to some degree of prominence. And I think that's, with the people we have in place and the plan that, as a company we're following, we're all a part of that. And you know what? Everywhere we go, here's the thing. When you're leaving an NWA show, people are emotionally talking about it. Again, and they want to come back. We do what we do. We're hard hitting. Look, with the exception of course, like the true giants, you know what I mean? Like the big shows and everything like that. If you look at our roster in general, per capita, I'd say we're bigger than the average people. Not a lot of rosters can say that.
No,
like definitely. We are, you're talking like, Trevor Murdoch, Mike Knox, Thrillbilly Silas Mason, Tom Latimer. These are not small human beings. And when you see this in person, when you see a 250-pound man, jump and slam someone through a table, and for that matter, when you see Colby Carino climb part of the building and then throw his body off onto someone, that's the stuff that that's just, you have to be there. And then at the same time, once you're there, you're hooked, and you're watching. That's why I think you're seeing our numbers growing so much, because with, again, even on the CW app, more and more people are watching because they get it, right? And it's like, if you go to a live show, you're hooked. But if you're a wrestling fan, and again, as opposed to a admirer of acrobatics, and by wrestling fan, I mean someone who's the stories, the people, the characters, and I don't want to say the slight degree of campiness, but you know what? That is part of it, right? And it's not all. You can't have it all, but you have to have the full palette of emotions. And at the same time, when you can serve a buffet, you're going to attract a lot more people than if you're only serving one dish. And I think that's the key, right? And that's, I think from my kind of observations, that's where the NWA is headed.
It definitely is for me. Aron, there's a couple of questions before we let you go. One of the final questions is about the territories, and it's been great to see it. Obviously, Crossfire Wrestling, NWA Chicago, Exodus Pro, and we've seen a couple of the guys come up, like Carson Drake's been another one. How great is it that the NWA has gone back to those roots? And although they're finding wrestlers for tomorrow within the NWA, they're also now doing that outside of it. How great is it that they've brung back the territories?
It's amazing. I have more of a hand in the territories than I would have liked to have in the beginning, but I am grateful for right now. And that, I got to spend some time, with the Joe Kazana promotion, down in Tennessee. I've pretty much worked with Exodus since their inception. And when you get to work with talent outside of like the NWA TV taping setting, where our tapings are they move. You know, the days go by quick, but they're long at the same time. But they're also the most fun. But we're able to kind of sit with talent and really kind of hone their skills and really tighten up what needs, like fix what needs to be fixed, so that when they go to TV, the presentation's better. It's kind of like a weird developmental system in a way. You know, although it would be nice to run every territory could run a different town every week, and you'd be able to work a little more closely with the talent. The system seems to be working because, like, the fact is, we are teaching a style of wrestling that can work anywhere. You know, again, when you see the people like the Daniel Bryans, right? He knowing how to present himself on TV. Seth Rollins, same thing. And it is television wrestling, American or North American television wrestling. You know, again, the style that was popularized in the United States and Canada, which is where this style of wrestling came about, right? And drama was the key. Case in point, Gorgeous George.
Yeah.
And you know, that kind of, okay, Gorgeous George took a risk and people loved it. And it changed the business, right? That's what we're trying to do. Where you're gonna have hard-hitting action, you're gonna have high-flying action, but you're also gonna care about who's doing it. You're gonna look at the characters and be like, oh, like it's just obvious that like this is wrestling the way it should be, right? We have protagonists, antagonists, and you know, good guys or girls, and then bad good or girls, right?
Yeah.
Bad good guys or girls. So that, and again, it sounds very simplistic, but like nobody has had the temerity to do it this way, you know, to where we're not retro, right? Like nothing about us, our presentation, like it's we are our own entity, but we are sticking to what we believe like has always propelled the business. And again, if you even look at like WWE, where they're starting to go back to that a little more now, which is cool. So it's a good time to be in the NWA, and it's a great time to be an NWA fan.
Definitely so. Just to add to that, we're going to be speaking to Ashton Day and Anthony Katana from the territories this week. We're looking forward to that. Last question, Aaron, before I let you go. Now, obviously, NWA is on the CW. Mm-hmm. There is a certain brand that's going to be on the CW in October called NXT, who are working with TNA, who are working with Endeavor, with NWA on the CW, NXT on the CW. Is there any chance, or do you think in the future, that a certain prohibited portal, as they call it, could be open for the NWA and NXT?
You never know. I mean, that's not anything I have a say in.
Nope.
You know, that's above my pay grade, but you never know, and anything is possible. And you know, and I think with us, so long as we're able to maintain the integrity of our product, it'll be a very, very good a good move if it happens. And if not, we're still going to do our thing, which will also be a very, very good move, because we're doing what we believe in as a group collectively. And again, working with other companies, working with other talent. Look, in today's world, with all the different platforms, that it's very behooving, you know. But again, the integrity of the product, and I can assure you, from the top down, that will be protected, and I sleep better at night knowing that.
Yeah, definitely so. And we're going to wrap it up here now, because I know we're very short on time. But Tuesday on NWA Power, we will see Blunt Force Trauma, and I can't let you go without spitting us some words of wisdom about your team and the match on Tuesday.
Well, I mean, here's the thing. You know, you got to just watch the CW, and of course, it's the CW app if you want to know what's the hap. You know, and what is the hap is that BFT is going to be taking on some team. I don't concern myself with these things until it's time, because I have that much confidence in blunt force trauma. I mean, I believe you said we're taking on Max the Impaler and Jedias.
That's it.
Yeah. See, of course I know these things, but BFT is essentially the juggernauts, or are the juggernauts of the NWA. No one has been able to stop them. You see what they're able to do. And again, you know, not that I get involved in any way. I've obviously been accused of this, but, you know, with AI, it's running rampant. And there's obviously been a campaign against me to make it look like I'm cheating. But I know what's there. The fans in attendance know, you know, I do nothing. I stand there and I support them and I make sure their interests are protected. But again, I don't get involved. It's not my thing. So I can assure you, any tomfoolery that you ever see with me, which may happen this week, I don't know, it's simply not true.
Simply not true. Well, guys, this has been the NWA Spotlight. Well, the man himself. Call your daddy, call your mama. We have been speaking to the manager. I can't do.
Force trauma. I knew you wanted that, so there you go.
Thank you. That was Aron Stevens. And don't forget, guys, watch the NWA on the CW app, because where history lives and legends are forged. And until next time, everybody, take care and good night.